I cannot believe after one game I'm saying this, but do the Cleveland Browns right now need to make a quarterback change? Because Deshaun Watson was dreadful, and he was absolutely the reason they lost this football game.
Yes. First of all, we were both higher on the Cowboys than most. Both of us blocked out the noise of, they didn't go all in. That means the Cowboys are going to stink this year. Cowboys look awesome. Like they're a good regular season team. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. I really don't. But this team, there's a reason they've won 12 games each of the last 3 regular seasons. They're good. The Cowboys are good. They're going to be good again. They showed it today. They looked awesome. They really did. On the other side, now let's move on because, if you're the Cleveland Browns, at some point, you have to look your locker room in the eye and tell them, yeah, we really do think Deshaun Watson is our best option, guys. How do you believe that after what you've seen over the past 2 years? And on Sunday, when Deshaun didn't even try to throw the ball downfield. Now, look, they're going to make their excuses because they always make excuses for Deshaun Watson. This is what the Browns do. Today, it was, Deshaun Watson got hit too much. Kevin Stefanski was asked after the game, hey, what about your offense? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, Deshaun just got hit too much. Like, Deshaun fought all game, but you can't get the quarterback hit like that. Like, is there ever going to be any accountability for Deshaun Watson in the Cleveland organization? It's always they're providing cover for him. They're making excuses for him. It was that way when the injury lingered last year. It was that way with his poor play before that. It's always something where the Browns are like, actually, it's not Deshaun's fault. It's this, and this. When they have to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? Jameis Winston gives us a better shot to win. I get Jameis is flawed. We all know Jameis. That story's been written. We know what you're getting with Jameis Winston, but you can't tell me that today Jameis Winston wouldn't have given them a better shot to win. Now, they might have lost anyway because your offensive line had a lot of issues. That is true. I'm not trying to take that away, but this team has to have a real honest-to-goodness self-reflection and say, why are we starting Deshaun Watson anymore if he can't play? Like, does Jameis give us a better shot to win? Honestly, I think the answer is yes. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to flip that switch. You almost have to see this through a little bit, but I just wonder if Deshaun Watson's shoulder is ever going to be right again. He literally couldn't throw a ball downfield. Like, whether that was the offensive line or just him, every pass was within 2-3 yards of the line of scrimmage. You're not going to win that way. He just looked terrible. The Browns looked terrible. And you wonder, are you just going to squander your whole season hoping that you somehow see the Deshaun Watson of 4 years ago? It's like, I think you said it, like, you have to have a real honest to goodness decision of, does Deshaun Watson start a quarterback for us all year? And I think the answer ultimately should be no, but he's got that contract. You traded so much for him. That's the only reason he's starting right now.
You can't worry about that. See, the thing of this
but they do, Fitz. That's the only reason he's starting right now.
But you can't, because like sunken cost is sunken cost. No matter what you pay, it is at this point, it is wildly irresponsible for the Cleveland Browns, as talented as they are and as good as their coaching staff is. It is wildly irresponsible for them to continue to start a quarterback that is less than, simply because they made a financial commitment to somebody that was not worth it. At some point, you got to step up, stand up, and say, you know what? I don't care about the money we spent. We got to win football games. Put them on the bench. Figure out another way. And I don't care if that's Jameis. I don't care if you're going out in the street to find somebody. I don't care if you're drafting somebody. What you know is Deshaun Watson cannot win you a Super Bowl at this point. It's done. It's over. He is not the quarterback he was. And we're all sort of dancing around these conversations because of the money, including the Browns, which is only disrespectful to the other players in that locker room. It's disrespectful to the fans. It's disrespectful to everybody that watches it. At some point, we can look at it, and I'm talking about Deshaun Watson, the football player, not Deshaun Watson, the man here, to be very clear. Deshaun Watson, the football player, is not good enough to lead the Cleveland Browns anymore, and he should not be the starter.
Yeah, I have a hard time disagreeing with anything you just said. Like, I was high on the Browns coming into training camp. You heard me talk about them, maybe Super Bowl, whatever. And then in August, I had to back way off because you did not hear one report out of Cleveland like, wow, Deshaun Watson's having a great camp. None. Like, it was like, this is concerning. And then obviously he misses the last preseason game with shoulder soreness. And you're like, this is bad. Like, this is, and then I just gave up. I was like, I picked the Cowboys today. I was like, I just don't think the Browns have it in them, especially Deshaun Watson. And I was right about that one, at least. So, by the way, from overthecap.com, do you know how much dead cap money there is if they cut Deshaun Watson next offseason?
Oh, they can't cut. It was like $90 million, isn't it?
$172 million dead cap. Let's repeat that. $172 million dead cap if the Browns cut Deshaun Watson next offseason. That's ridiculous. He is going to be you have to go in a different direction of quarterback if he doesn't improve. But you're going to have be your third quarterback at a 72.6, I think it is, $1 million cap hit for each of the next 2 years? Like, I mean, they're screwed. Like, this is really, really, really bad for the Browns.
You can't cut him, but you got to bench him.
You just have him as your third quarterback? Like, I don't even know if he's like really a backup at this point. Like, look, this is an overreaction. I get it. It's 1 week. He might come on next week.
No, this isn't. Like, we've been so calm on this. Like, how many times in a row can we sit here and be like, well, Deshaun's going to get it right? I don't think this is an overreaction anymore. Like, because I do think the Browns are a Super Bowl caliber roster with a Super Bowl caliber head coach. Like, if you've got all of these pieces together, if I got to bench my $172 million dead cap hit, I'm going to bench him. And then I'm going to hope to God he doesn't retire. Like, I understand that, like, this all gets really complicated, but you know what's even more complicated? Going out there every single week and wasting another week of a team that's good enough to win because they got a quarterback that isn't good enough to win, and you're only playing him because you paid him. Like, that's just, it's gross.
And at least Jameis, it's not their worst option. Like, I get it. James, you're going to be so frustrated with the pick sixes and all that kind of stuff. He's still a guy who I believe threw for 5,000 yards in a season, too. He's not a total zero. Like, I get that he's going to make some backbreaking mistakes, but he's also going to make some plays. Like, that's what Jameis does. And I think at some point the Browns are going to have to gamble on that, because if Deshaun Watson doesn't start looking better, and I'm talking about next week, like, it just can't continue like this.
And the Cleveland Browns, by the way, just to take a quick look at it, next week they have a Jags team that's better, right? They have a Jags team that played pretty well today. Then they get a little bit of an easy stretch: Giants, Raiders, Commanders. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get it worked out.